One of the biggest success stories in the Cairngorms has been the return of that magnificent bird of prey, the osprey. Today it's hard to realise that one of our most important native birds had been driven out of Scotland, and yet their reappearance was a wonderful accident.
Ospreys were formerly widespread throughout the UK, but they became extinct in 1916. And they were absent as a breeding bird in Britain for about 40 odd years until the mid-1950s, when a pair returned to this part of Scotland. They returned of their own accord. They were presumably birds moving north from their winter quarter in West Africa, heading up to Finland, or Norway or Sweden, somewhere north, came through this part of Scotland and thought, this is good enough, why bother going any further? So in 1959, the site here at Loch Garten was open to the public, and in that first summer, 14,000 people came to see the newly arrived ospreys.
And that staggering level of interest hasn't diminished in nearly 50 years. Today, visitors continue to flock to the Osprey Centre here at Loch Garten, but the success of this enterprise relies on the work of a ready supply of volunteers. Clare Wordley is in her second year.
The Osprey Centre was an obvious choice for me because I've always been into birds of prey, and I just think they're absolutely spectacular, and I could watch them all day, really. We haven't seen him since 11 o'clock last night. He's been around a lot less than she has because he's doing fishing for both of them at the moment. I love talking to the visitors here because every time you talk to someone, even if you're saying the same things, you're saying it to someone new. And some of the people who come here have been coming here for longer than I've been alive, and they know masses about the birds and they're really, really interested. And I hope that everyone goes home with a really enjoyable experience, because I know I do. We're walking up now from the visitor centre to the forward hide, and only staff and volunteers walk up here because it's where we have a 24-hour watch on the birds, monitoring the behaviour and also keeping a surveillance watch on the nest to make sure that no one disturbs the birds during the crucial breeding season. So this is the first part of the forward hide, and this is where the volunteers can take a rest when we're doing the 24-hour watch. And usually we'll do sort of about 2 night shifts a week typically, and when we've got eggs and chicks, someone stays awake and watches all night. So this is where we actually watch the birds from, and it's really comfy up here. We've got a heater and a stove, we've got camera, we've got binoculars, and this is where we spend hours and hours at a time just watching the birds. I think they're so perfectly designed for what they do. They're so graceful and they're very, very beautiful, but in a very functional way. It's not trimmings that make them beautiful, it's the fact that they're just perfectly suited to live in this environment and to hunt and to fish the way that they do. You're watching them bring back the fish and you get an appreciation of just how sharp and how strong those talons really are. We can see the nest really well with these binoculars, and we've also got CCTV in the nest, so we can get a really good view of what's going on. And we write down everything they do and the times, and we're sort of trying to build up a picture of their lives. And sometimes it'll be really busy and there'll be masses going on, and you'll be busy all shift, and sometimes they'll just sit around and do nothing for hours.
Well, the pair we've got with us now, they've been with us now for 5 years, and they're called EJ and Henry. They're both 9 years old. They've had a fairly up and down time with us over the years. They're both good birds. She's both a good female, he's a very good male in providing fish. But we've had a few problems in recent years on account of Henry's inability to get back on time, frankly. He comes back late, and has done for the past few years, to find his lady having taken up with other males. This year we've had a real roller coaster of a season. She arrived on time in early April. As did an old flame of hers, actually, another male. He was on time as well, and Henry was 2 or 3 weeks late. So by the time Henry arrived back, the other male had got his feet under the table with EJ at the nest, and they were on eggs. And Henry wasn't best pleased to discover his lady on somebody else's eggs when he returned. So he booted them out, and we thought at that point that it was game over, really. But they patched up their differences. Henry saw off the young pretender, and they sorted themselves out, and she relayed another clutch, which is nigh on a miracle in itself. The best we could hope for was we might get a successful hatch, which indeed we did, which was a fantastic event, you can imagine. But then sadly the chicks died. It's very disappointing to have not had chicks successfully reared at Loch Garten this year, but our birds will be back next year, as will most other ospreys, hopefully in Scotland. But the bigger picture is ospreys are firmly re-established here now and here to stay.